catered at every school with Division I football or basketball program and will shield schools that make less money from struggling financially when trying to provide scholarships that cover costs. So that helps your schools like North Carolina Central, Appalachian State, most of your smaller schools, Campbell University, the smaller FCS schools. The money is there, and the NCAA just really has no reason to reject this plan, but there's a lot of friction still from it. Now, Mark Ebert on the surface may be saying, well, I'm trying to come up with a solution, but I just really, and I'm not judging his character, his heart, I don't know his heart. But I wonder if he has brought to the table to the smaller FCS schools to basically, ease their concerns that, hey, we got your back. We're going to give these guys $52 million. We're going to give this, it's going to be allocated to them. But I just get the opinion that, their resistance for a reason, and that reason is that hasn't been offered to the college presidents as of yet. But I'm sure certainly that it will in the very near future. Also, another recommendation by the NCPA, and also during your leisure, feel free to go to the NCPA's website at NC as in Charles, P as in Paul, A as in Adam, now, NOW.org. So feel free to go and you can read the full report of the study on their website. Also, like I stated, another recommendation, they're encouraging the NCAA to adopt the Olympic amateur model by lifting restrictions on colleges or college athletes' commercial opportunities, such as endorsements and autograph signings. A portion of the funds, and let's go back to what I'm going to talk about here, is a portion of the funds can be placed in the educational lockbox. Now, if you listen to our past programs, you would realize that the educational lockbox is a suggestion by the NCPA to allow revenue-producing athletes to receive a portion of new revenues that can be placed in the educational lockbox, sort of like a trust fund, to be accessed to assist in or upon the completion of their college degree. So the only strings attached is that the player has to graduate to receive the money. And for those who don't graduate on time, then basically they can use the money that is in that lockbox to further their education in pursuit of their degree. But players who violate these NCAA rules or NCAA rules, players that basically can't wait and got to get those $300-$400 handshakes so they can bling or whatever, those guys would not be, they would lose some or all their portion from the funds. And trust me, nothing these guys have that they're offering you. I'm seeing these programs get in trouble for guys partying, somebody paying for the drinks, somebody's just giving them lavish gifts. I mean, nothing. If you would create an educational lockbox and put percentage of revenue, new revenue, that the NCAA and schools are making into a lockbox for these revenue-producing athletes, then nothing could compare to, if they could just wait, hold out. Like the preacher said, hold on and hold out. That, there's an incentive for getting that degree and working hard in pursuit of that degree. Now, also, those are the key points, but I think both of those plans are getting a lot of support from, especially the Olympic amateur model, from former Duke Blue Devil center Jay Billis, and also from former Duke Blue Devil Jay Williams. Now, both of them work now for ESPN Sports, and this is getting, great. They are very behind this 100%, the idea of this. And also, one thing that I wanted to state is that I remember listening to Jay Williams on a sports talk show where he was, I think, former Texas coach Tom Penders was on the show as well. And Jay Williams was very adamant about, he'd done a thesis during his last year. I think Jay Williams graduated in 3 years. So he was one of your rare athletes that graduated on time, or before time, actually, because he went pro after his junior year. But he was saying that during his junior year in college, that his jersey, I might say his jersey, not his shirt, but his jersey, brought in $2.3 million. $2.3 million in sales. Now, although he appreciated that $40,000, and I know he probably appreciated the fact that his scholarship or his education was paid at, I think Duke back in those early 2000s, middle 2000s, was about a little over $40,000 per year. That's $120,000 worth of education or money spent towards his education, but nowhere near the $2.3 million if he could have got a percentage of that under the Adopt Olympic Amateur model, or if they had the adoption at the time of the Olympic Amateur model, lifting the restrictions of what they can make or be paid as receiving commercial opportunities such as this, then you would look at that. If he would have got under the NBA model, the current NBA model, just say if this was this day and time, 50%. My goodness, $2.3 million. That's too many numbers for me to even. I know it'll be one point something that he received. There's a lot of zeros there. And now let's get it correct and let's get it straight. I'm not in no way saying that we should pay a college athlete $200,000, $300,000 a year. No, but I think percentages of the money should go into what I really like is that educational lockbox. Like I stated last week, that Olympic model rule, I have to be educated a little more on that one. That's a catch-22 with me. But if you did have some form or a way that the athletes could benefit from commercial opportunities to go into a lockbox, maybe it would stop a lot of this black market with the $400 handshakes by some boosters, agents or wannabe agents trying to gift these players and then throw it back in their face when the players don't sign for them or sign with their agency. So it will cut off a lot of that lavish gifts and all of this, that's happening that supposedly occurred at Ohio State and University of North Carolina and now the Miami Hurricanes. Those are the current ones where sports agents were involved through coaches. And, it's something, but maybe something like this can deter a lot of that. And, it won't get rid of all of it, but guess what? If you can't wait to get your degree to get this money, then guess what? You lose some, or possibly, I like to see them lose all of it. The only way I wouldn't want to see them lose all of it is that if they didn't graduate on time, I would like the money to only be used for educational purposes for them to pursue their degree, but no money whatsoever after that. Once again, you're listening to the Babe Tom Herman Show with your host here, Herman Thomas. I'll be right back after a message from our sponsor.
A Natural Skincare Studio. Now your new neighborhood skincare studio. Professional, friendly, relaxing, personalized attention. Now offering facials, natural manicures, pedicures, and waxing. Come check us out at 711 Iredell Street, Suite 3A, Durham, North Carolina, 27707. Give us a call at 919-416-1490 or check us out on our website at www.misseajbeauty.com.
Once again, welcome back to the Babe Tom Herman Show. And once again, we're talking about, can the NCAA reform itself? We've come to the conclusion that they can't. It's like your mom says, I come to the conclusion you can't clean up your room, so I'm going to do it. And buddy, I'm throwing away everything that I told you to take from under the bed. So it's one of those things that, no, the NCAA cannot reform itself. But I do thank President Mark Emmert for at least trying or making an attempt. You might question why he's doing it or trying to implement these changes for the better. And in the long run, it will be better. As of now, it just seems like Congress, the Department of Justice needs to get involved. There's a great amount of revenue coming in by the NCAA, a great amount of revenue. Now, when you go to their website at ncaa.org, it's so funny because we all know right off bat they get $770 million or $771 million from this new TV deal with CBS and Turner Sports. But they project that this year's earnings for them will be about $645 million. And I'm just scratching my head like, okay, I know I wasn't that great with math, but it seems like the numbers are not adding up. You're a nonprofit or a tax-exempt organization. You're not getting taxed for on the $770 million. So where's the $645 million coming? I won't even get into that. It's just a numbers game. Sometimes people throw numbers at you and just hope you don't calculate it. And I think that might have been the case with that. But in all fairness, I think the hypocrisy, the NCAA has been a group of what I call that, I just think there's a lot of hypocrisy coming forth from that organization, not particularly speaking anything bad about anyone. But let's take, for instance, back in 2010, You might ask, what happened in 2010, but with the Cam Newton incident with Auburn, we all know the story involving him and his father for the recruiting fees he allegedly sought to basically get his son at particular schools. But, later on the NCAA found out that Cam had no knowledge of this. But what I find hypocritical of this is that you're going to basically, investigate, which you should have, part of the, this is certainly a violation of current NCAA rules. But it's hypocritical in a sense because his dad was looking for about $180,000 from some schools or a particular school for his son's services at their college. And it was investigated and, no punishment for Cam after it was found out that he had no particular knowledge of it. But, Cam Newton compliantly wore at least 15 corporate logos on his jersey during games. And one on his jersey, 4 on his helmet visor, 1 on each wristband, 1 on his pants, 6 on his shoes, and if I can recall, 1 on the headband he wears under his helmet. Now, this was part of Auburn's $10.6 million deal with Under Armour. So, the NCAA is going to investigate this along with other college presidents as well. And you're going to look around. And I think what was very hypocritical is basically, you should have punished Cam, of course, if he was found guilty of it. But then in turn, if he would have been able to cash in or commercialize on his own name, his own self, that was a $10.6 million deal with Under Armour. Just think if a percentage of that would have went into an educational lockbox. Now, Cam didn't graduate, but he could truly, even though he makes millions in the NFL, he could go back and use that money to pursue his education. That way, money that he helped school make, he could, say, hey, I did get something out of it. I'm going back to get my degree, and you guys got that money in that lockbox for me, and I want to graduate. So guess what? You're going to foot the bill. And it should be that way. But then another thing is, it's remarkable that also the NCAA over years have came up with a rule banning symbols and messages and players the eye black under the eyes. I think one was prior the football player Ohio State who got in a lot of trouble with the last investigation, or who was part of the problem according to the NCAA. But prior, he made sent some form of message at one point, and that was to go to support or for the support of pro quarterback Michael Vick and also Tim Tebow. They banned him from putting Bible verses inscribed in the eye black of his of this great Florida quarterback Tim Tebow. So it didn't look like they showed any favoritism towards anybody. They went after Tim Tebow, who at the time was the best college player in the game, or one of the best college players in the game. So that is one form of hypocrisy that I get on the NCAA about all the time, or my criticism of them. Also, if you would read, and Tim Tebow showed his frustration also, he didn't show it, but he communicated it in writing form, if I might say, through his latest book, Through My Eyes. Tebow reflects on his coaches, Urban Meyer, $1 million bonus at a time when he pulled the weeds in his mom's chicken coop. And those of y'all like myself, I was raised with a chicken coop, so don't ask what it is. Place where chickens go to rest. That's what a chicken coop is. Okay, Chicken Coop 101. It's a place where roosters and hens go to rest. And he did that as a Christmas present for her because that was all he could afford. Now, you just think of the money that Tim Tebow, the millions that he bought to Florida Gators, their program, and also to the NCAA. And here's a young man putting that in his book, Through My Eyes. I would encourage you to buy that book. It's a great book. Whether you like Tim Tebow or not, it's great reading. I like Tim Tebow. Not only I feel like he's a hard-working quarterback, I feel like he's a good person. He's one of the few people that that you're not going to hear too much negative or be caught drunk driving or whatever on a barroom brawl. Yeah, he's one of the guys you figure that not going to get caught up in that mess or in that mischief. Unfortunately, my time is up for this week's broadcast.